thank you, Stephen. It's a high point of my life, what you just said. And I want to say that I've taught a lot of students over the years, and you were one of the best. The very best, and I'm so proud of you and all that you've accomplished and continue to accomplish. There are other students here, people I've taught and worked with, Ken, Dave, Kellen, Jane Mayer, and it's just wonderful to see you all. And they're looking at Spencer Beckman, who was a student at Yale that I counseled. This has been a terrific conference. I'm impressed, and I always like to think of a few words, with the wisdom, the courage, the commitment, and the hope that I feel in this room. I've enjoyed all my jobs, starting with Chief of Staff for King Brewster, who was my most important mentor, and who encouraged me and others, including people in this room, to engage in public service and to volunteer. The most meaningful part of my life has come from being a volunteer, starting at Whitehall. Just a piece on my background. I come from a small town called Weston, where my family settled in 1680 as farmers. I had very little experience with the wider world when I came to Yale in 1961. And through Dwight Hall and my mentor, William Sloan Coffin, I was introduced to the Ulysses Grant Foundation and became its director for 3 years. Then, as now, it still goes. U.S. Grant offers after-school classes to young people from Dixwell, Yale, and other communities throughout New Haven. And the courses are all taught by Yale student volunteers. Initially, it aimed at preparing students for prep school, but I broadened the goal to college admissions. And through U.S. Grant, I learned there is so much talent undiscovered and underprepared because of poor schools. Yale was almost white in those days, and which I thought was wrong. So after graduation, I joined a talent search program housed at Yale that searched for a country for talented students in poor high schools. And this I learned from U.S. Grant, working with those kids, watching how they prospered, went to private schools and college. And in this talent search, we found a lot of students that were really bright, but they had low SAT scores. And they could not, at that moment, get into colleges commensurate with their ability. And so we founded a transitional year program for 50 students a year from all over the country, a postgraduate boot camp. And I taught history, and within a couple months, students with 450 verbal were looking at the high 600s, if not 700, and we were able to place them at Yale and other first-rate universities, and by the way, men and women. I was very touched a week ago when, after over a half century, these kids that graduated from TYP in 1967 had a reunion back at Yale. And they did oral histories, and to hear their stories one-on-one, and to see how they have prospered and contributed was just heartwarming. So, from this beginning, public service and mentoring in pursuit of equal opportunity, and if I could say, diversity, equity, and inclusion has been core.
Yeah.
And my greatest satisfaction in life really has come from my work with NGOs, HRW, which you've heard of, I was chair, War Refugee and Migration Council, the American University Afghanistan, and the American Exchange Project. And I also, in retirement, mentor students at Yale and Harvard, but also at Hunter College here in New York. And my strongest message to all of them is live a balanced life. Don't put everything into your work. Time for family, but also give back by service, by volunteer service. That's what made my life worth living as I look back on it. Not all those fancy jobs, but the volunteer work I did and still do. Now we know it's a difficult time for our country, but I draw hope from the commitment of students and graduates to work for a more just, humane world at peace. David McCullough, over here, is a shining example as the American Exchange Project connects high school students in wealthy towns like, say, Guilford, with very different places like Kilgore, Texas, bridging economic, racial, geographic, and political difference. And we really need that in this country. There's so many divisions, we're so complex now. And this organization, working with high school kids, is bridging those differences. But there are others in the room that I know who are doing good work. I think of right here, my new school colleague, Josiah Brown, who has CONSA, a network of volunteer court-appointed special advocates helping and protecting children who've experienced abuse or neglect. And I want you to think about and check out a new organization I've just learned about called Mountaintop International, which supports promising local leaders around the world, especially in Africa, to deepen and scale their impact in low-income communities. It's looking for volunteers to mentor the fellows. And I hope you'll consider being a volunteer. And maybe we could even have, as I have at NYU and Harvard, a section where the fellows come to Yale for a few weeks in the summer, and then we continue as mentors. So let me conclude by saying that IANA is among the Yale organizations I admire the most, and it deserves all our enduring support as we continue to connect, convene,